Hi there, this is a follow-up to my vocab video teaching Unalienable to my sister, Whitney. I wanted to go over some of my vocab strategies that I used and why I thought they played nicely into learning the word unalienable. First, I began with context clues. I had her read that entire sentence, which is paragraph 2, line 2 in the preamble of the Declaration of Independence. It's tied to these big, broad concepts, so she was able to infer that it had something to do with guaranteeing them or those being certified by that document. And then, much like in the article, What's in a Word, I thought that some of the generative ideas of talking about word parts in terms of un and in, I don't think she said this on camera, but after the fact she did say to me that she thought it was inalienable if she'd just been quizzed off the top of her head. And so talking about the different word parts and learning etymology or the origin of words to me is a really useful technique because, like John Medina and other researchers have noted, the more elaborate kind of story and narrative that you can put into learning, it makes it easier to remember. So rather than just statically or rotely memorizing vocabulary, she's able to put into context now the parts of the word, the debate between un and in, or where alienare comes from, and how that origin helps to put a story to the concept. And that can be, as someone who's interested in history, that can be a really good way to tie a concept into broader meaning, like I've done with previous lessons when I've talked about rule of thumb or grandfathered in. I think it's important that we understand where words come from and how their meanings are born, and then maybe how they've shifted over time and how we use them differently. And lastly, as a little follow-up in context, my sister is now just a little bit under a year out from recovery from suffering a major brain injury. She had a hemorrhagic stroke almost a year ago, and throughout this year I've done a number of lessons with her in mind and in terms of processing, as well as working memory and executive functioning struggles that she's having in her speech therapy as she continues to improve. So you'll note in the video that I didn't push her when she couldn't really give me a sentence on applying unalienable into a context. Off camera we talked about the context of the First Amendment, and that in the United States of America, freedom of speech is an unalienable right. But I chose in that moment to not push her and put her on the spot. We were only able to do one take of the video. I didn't see her very much this week. And I was making a choice to not push her in that moment, because I know how much she's been struggling, and her temper in terms of the standard that she wants to hold herself to, and being an outstanding student before any of this happened to her. So I just wanted to give you some context for that, and that in certain circumstances with students, depending on their needs and their skill level, I would be responsive to their own abilities in that moment and learn when to push and when to hold back. Thank you very much.